Alright, so I'm working on some fabric tumblers today. Fabric tumblers can look really, really cool under epoxy. This one has glow on it. It's a little hazy in some areas because I apparently went too heavy with my glow powder and my epoxy. So I am going to be touching this one up a little bit with a Sharpie, but just so you can see what it kind of looks like at the end after you get it all together. This is what the bottom of it looks like. So I'm going to show you how I do these today. I have some started so that I can show you different steps, because it doesn't take long, but it definitely is a little bit of a process, but once you get going, you'll get the hang of it. I have 2 20s and a 30 ounce to do, and I'm using Nightmare Before Christmas fabric. The major suggestion that I have is to prep your cup, because if you don't spray paint it white, the stainless steel will show through, and if there's any kind of Mod Podge issues or flaws like that, it will definitely show up. I'll show you an example of that. Hold on. This one was one of my very first fabric tumblers, and if you look at it up close, you can see the seam, you can see the blue underneath, you can see where the Mod Podge didn't quite get right, and there's like weird splotches where the epoxy ended up soaking into the fabric. So don't do this. Prep your cup, spray paint it whatever color the fabric is if it's light, so that it doesn't end up looking like this. But this was my first one, so it was a learning experience. So what you do is, after your cup is spray painted, you take Mod Podge. It's very important that you use fresh Mod Podge and not like your glitter bowl, because I usually have like a container of Mod Podge that I use for glittering, and then I make messes, and you don't want any glitter to be on your cup, so you have to really just use fresh Mod Podge, and you go all around the cup, nice even, not too thin layer, because if it's too thin it'll dry by the time you get back around to the other side. And it's really simple. You just coat it nice and good. And I'm back at the beginning, I think, but it's starting to tack up a little bit because I have the fan going. So what you're gonna do is then you wanna look at your fabric and decide which way is gonna be best for you to wrap it. So I just go ahead and lay it down and smooth it and roll it and keep smoothing it. Now there is fabric out there that's nice and stretchy and really giving, but this is just regular 100% cotton, so you just kind of have to work with it. I try not to offer fabric tumblers on 30 ounce regular, just because it's more of a hassle to try and get the fabric not creased and not having like slits here, there, and everywhere. So you literally just keep pulling it and turning it until you get back to where you started. You want to make sure that you're pressing out any of these little like bubbles that you're seeing. And we are almost back at the beginning, but I want to make sure that we have it okay. The 100% fabric or cotton does stretch a little bit, so it's not so bad, but I cut my fabric a little close, so up here it's like real tight, but I think that'll be good enough. So then at this point what I do is, so I don't have these extra flappies up here and here, don't touch the bottom yet. All I do is I trim it loosely. I will show you how you trim it nicer in a little bit here, but we just trim the extra off and then trim the extra off up top. Again, I'll show you how to do it nicer. And that's pretty much it for wrapping it to start the whole process. Just Mod Podge, wrap it, smooth it, and then trim the extra. And then at this point, this is why it's very important to have fresh Mod Podge and a clean brush, because we're going to go over this, and if you have any glitter in your brush, it will contact to your fabric, and then you're going to never get it out. So you're going to go ahead and take your Mod Podge again and go over it. You want to make sure at the edges you really get it there, because we're going to trim that, and it's going to be a lot nicer for you if you have stiff fabric, because then you won't have this like fraying stuff that'll go along. If you were to cut it right now, you would have some fraying. So it's best to Mod Podge then trim, like closer. So you just go around the whole thing. Again, I'm not touching anything on the bottom. I'll show you what I do with the bottoms. And you just coat it nice and evenly. Don't go too thick on your Mod Podge, because you don't want to be able to see the brush strokes. But you still need it to be protected, because if you don't coat it enough times, it will end up having epoxy seep into the fabric, and then it leaves weird splotches. It took me forever to realize what those weird splotches were. It just means that you didn't protect your fabric right. And that's all that the Mod Podge does, is it creates a barrier. So we're almost back to the beginning. And like I said, you're gonna really wanna use caution on these edges too. Okay, and then at this point, I let it sit and dry because you wanna coat it another time or two. Usually I think I do my fabric cups 3 coats of Mod Podge. So we have this little area here. You wanna make sure that the seam is good. So you're gonna shove your brush into the seam and make sure you don't have any gobs in there. And if you really wanted to, now see it's starting to pull up here at the bottom, so that means I didn't do such a good job. If you really wanted to, you can go along the inside edge of fabric here too, that's gonna be trimmed. But if not, no biggie, because it's gonna be solid on the other side. I'm just worried about this one random little fold wrinkle thing that keeps happening. And then I use this guy. I have a few of them, but I wish I had more. I got them from Dollar Tree, and now I can't find them. So check your Dollar Trees, because they're great for this right here. So he's gonna dry. And so I don't completely bore you doing the exact same thing again, I'll show you on the 30 ounce how I trim my edge and what I do to the bottom. It's gonna be easier for me to show you the bottom on this one though. So I'll do the edge here, and you're gonna need some washi tape and some scissors. You might need an X-Acto knife. Let me go grab one. Okay, so I have my X-Acto knife here now, and I also just grabbed my washi tape and ripped off a piece the length of the cup and tried to line it up with this bottom edge of fabric here, because the problem is that you want to take off as much as you can without cutting yourself short. So what I do is I start out with a little bit, and then if I need to retrim it, I will. So the idea is you have your washi tape here as your guide, and you take your scissors and you cut along the length of the washi tape. This piece of fabric is one that I got from Old Red Cuts, and it is the stretchy stuff that I was telling you about. It's kind of like a lycra or a t-shirt material almost, but it has print on it, and it's really pretty, and it's fabulous to work with. And I apparently did not do that right, or my washi tape is just not sticky enough. So I'm going to take my tape and put it back on and finish the top part so that it's a nice straight crisp line, and then I'm going to decide if I need to trim it back more or not. This big piece is just not worth working with. Okay, so I'm going to go in, cut more right along the tape line, which the tape is sticking to my fingers and not the fabric. So I'm getting to the point where I'm just going to freehand it, which, make sure your washi tape works, otherwise you'll get a little irritated like me. So this is where we're at. We still have a little extra flat to work with, but like I said, less is more, because I would rather have an overlap than have my cup show like in this one. So sometimes you can get so good with your seams that it's really tough to tell where the seam starts and ends, especially with this Nightmare Before Christmas fabric. It's pretty cool because of that. So let's try it a different way with the washi tape. I am going to just use the same kind, but I'm going to put it on the other edge, so maybe it'll stick better and I don't hold on to that. And here we go. Now this particular cup I did not spray paint because the fabric is dark and it's okay. So the spray painting thing is only necessary if the fabric is kind of see-through or just light in color. Alright, so that's where we're at. We're a little closer, and at this point you could just do it to it and Mod Podge it down, which I think I'm gonna do. Yeah. So that's all you do for the edges. You just take your brush, shove it in the crack here. I originally started out doing a lot of fabric cups because when I originally started crafting from home, I created the name Stitchery for Bitchery because I was a little snarky from losing my job, and you know, having the world promised to you and all that fun stuff. So I sewed, I embroidered, and I needed to find something that was applicable to me and what I did. But now I changed the cups, so it's just stitchery for bits, so that little kids don't get in trouble for having my cup in school because it says bitchery. So I'm still pretty stitchery for bitchery though. But I did a lot of fabric cups when I first started out because I had a whole lot of fabric. So as I practiced more, it got better. So that's your seam. You could go over the whole cup again. I'm not going to bore you with that because I want to show you how to do the bottom and how to do the top. The top is the same thing with the washi tape. You're just going to put it down and ramp it. Now I have wet Mod Podge here, but just so you know, you put it down and you trim your fabric right here. Okay, so sometimes I don't even use the washi tape and I just take my scissors to the edge. And then you're going to definitely make sure that you Mod Podge it so that this fabric is sealed to the cup up here. And this edge is pretty clean, ready to go. I did not use my washi tape again. I get a little lazy about some stuff, but overall it will turn out just fine. Sometimes I beat myself up over too much stuff. Okay, so the bottom, you don't need that much fabric. Okay, this one, this is my favorite football. It drops while I'm doing my lives and stuff. So anyhow, you probably only need about like this much fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it all to about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of fabric at the bottom so that you have enough to work with, but you don't need the extra. And this is what we do. We take our fabric and cut it into strips because the strips are going to help it fold to the edge of the cup so much nicer than just trying to gob it there. Trust me, I tried gobbing it, it did not work. So at this point, you cut all your strips. I'm cutting them about a 1/2 inch so that we can work with them. You can cut them smaller if you'd like, or bigger, whatever works for you. This is just what works for me. And you go around, and all I do at this point is I turn them into triangles, because there's no need to have all that fabric there, because otherwise it's all just going to keep overlapping and it's going to make it possibly not sit even. So we make triangles, and how I do that is I'll take the end and I'll take it up at the cup to the corner and I cut. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just whatever works for you, and making your cup sit even too, because nobody wants a bumpy bottom cup. So I just go back around, turn all my strips into triangles. It's easier for me to cut bottom to the cup, like edge of the fabric to the cup. I know it's probably not the best for you guys to see, but I keep stopping every once in a while so you can see what I'm doing. So you take it and you trim it up to the cup, but you don't want to go too crazy because you could reveal this part of the cup, and that's not necessary. So we just keep trimming until we get the whole way around. And back to the beginning. Now at this point, you have a cup. I guess I could remove that little tag, huh? It's not necessary. Okay. So what we do at this point, Mod Podge again. The brush is getting a little angry because it's dried out. You coat your cup, and then you coat the fabric. The white part, like the inside part of your fabric. You're gonna go around, smear Mod Podge on that. Especially where they overlap. If you cut your seam perfect, it wouldn't overlap, but that's okay. Overlapping's okay a little bit. And I think I'm almost back at the beginning. Yeah, that's good enough. So then at this point, you fold it. You push it down. Push it down. Some of them will want to fight you. It's okay. And you're going to take Mod Podge over all these little loose pieces that keep trying to flip up anyhow. So just fold them all down, straighten it out if it's got a little buckle to it. At this point, I used to do a fabric circle on the bottom, and I'll show you what one of those looks like in a sec. I don't really do that anymore. I just put my label on the bottom of the cup. So it looks like this. Great. Taking a break, hold on. Okay, so this is what it looks like if you cut a circle for the bottom. And all I would do is just lay it down, take a pencil. I honestly forget what I used to use. You could use Sharpie, but once again, just watch your fabric. If it's thin, it will bleed through. So I think I used a pencil, and then I would cut it out, and then Mod Podge, and then slap the fabric on, and then Mod Podge more. So that's pretty much it for my fabric cups, is just Mod Podge, wrap it, and then you're going to want to Mod Podge it a couple times so that everything is solid and down for you. So feel free to ask any questions you need to. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much.